All right, guys, this is the last part of the series. Okay, please follow me. Okay, domain for this one will be h cannot be 0. Okay, h cannot be 0. That's the domain. And then we will write in the fraction forms for 3 plus h to the power of -1, and that is 1 over 3 plus h. And 3 to the power -1, that's 1/3, 1 over 3. Common denominator is 3 times 3 plus h. And we take that and makes 1. Any number times 1 stay the same. And we take the top, distribute it to each part. Okay, distribute it. Or some of, hold on. And this one is distributed to the bottom. Okay, h times 3, you can write 3 times h. It's up to you. Okay? And some of you may like to view this as it's over 1. No difference. Same thing. Same thing. Okay? And then we're going to reduce. We're going to reduce. 3 plus h, take away the 3 plus h. So that will be reduced into just 3. Just 3 here. The 3 reduced with 1/3. We just have 3 plus h left. Okay? Reduce further, open the parentheses. That's 3 minus h. Okay? And 3 minus 3, that makes 0. And then the h will reduce with this h. So the top is -1 on top. Okay? You can bring the negative sign to the front, which does not make any difference in the result. It's just a different way of expression. That was number 9. Number 10. Number 10, domain. For domain, we need to make sure, of course, t cannot be 0 for sure, right? T cannot be 0. And what else t cannot be? Well, if we rewrite this expression and factored out the t, right? Factored out the t, so we have t plus 1 in the parentheses. T plus 1 cannot be 0 either. If t plus 1 cannot be 0, then t cannot be -1. Okay? So now we have determined the domain, and of course, it should be connected by end. Okay? And then we're going to combine, make common denominator. Common denominator would be t times t plus 1. So to make common denominator, we're going to multiply t plus 1 over t plus 1. This way, the common denominator will be made for the first term. So now we have t times t plus 1. And the top is 1 times t plus 1 minus 1 over t times t plus 1. Same denominator. Okay, same denominator. And then we can combine the numerator. So we keep the same denominator and combine the numerator, which is t plus 1 minus 1. Plus 1 minus 1 makes 0. So our next step will have just plus 1 minus 1. Okay? And this t and that t will reduce because t cannot be 0. So in the end, we get 1 over t plus 1. All right? So 10 is done. 11, complex fraction again. Domain. In this case, even we have two variables. We have two variables. But which variable will be we will be consider domain for? Okay, and one of them, of course, is going to be h cannot be 0. Okay, h cannot be 0. Then you say, how do we do with x? We treat x, if x is treated as a variable, of course, x cannot be 0. But here, we're going to treat x as a constant. Okay, so just don't worry about x. Okay, because in the future for this kind of question, we'll be taking limit on h. So x will not be we don't need to bother about it for x. Okay. But if you say, oh, I do want to consider that, and it's not, there's nothing wrong if you say, okay, x cannot be 0. But we really focus on h as the variable. Okay? So next, it's a complex fraction once more. The common denominator is x squared times x plus h squared. Excuse me. So x plus h squared and x squared. Okay, this whole thing is a common denominator. And we're going to take the common denominator divided by common denominator. The whole thing is 1. Okay? And then we're going to distribute. We're going to distribute. This piece will be distributed to multiply that part. Multiply that part. Okay? Multiply. And you can, if you like, if you see better this way, you know, you don't need to, but if this makes you see better, fine. And then we're going to reduce it. Okay, we're going to reduce it. Or maybe leave a space, leave some space. X plus h squared, take away the x plus h squared. So this part is reduced. So we just have the x squared left. Okay, x squared left. X squared, 1 over x squared, that's gone. Okay, for this part, we only have x plus h squared left. All right, and going further, we have the x squared. We're going to FOIL that part. So this part will be FOILed into x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Which formula did we use here? The formula we used was the these two, one of these. Okay, so we used one of these formula, or you just do your own FOIL, no problem. Okay. and opened up the bracket. Opened up the bracket, we had to attend some, because when we open up the bracket, the negative sign will be distributed. So this will turn into negative, and that will turn into negative. Okay, be very careful about that. And next, x squared minus x squared, that makes 0. And we can factor out the 8. We factor out the 8. Okay, so we're going to factor out the 8 and take out the h. So h squared will turn into just h. Take this h out. And h will reduce. So in the end, we get negative 2x minus 8. So that's done. Okay. Last but not least, domain once more is a similar situation for that. So h cannot be 0. So that's a domain requirement. Okay. And we don't have to worry about the x. Okay. And one of the things you need to do is to FOIL that part. You can FOIL that part separately. Okay, x plus h. Okay, turn into a square. Okay, so 3 is split into 1 plus 2. Right? 1 plus 2. And x plus h. Multiply. We FOIL the square part. We get x squared. Of course, you can use this formula. Plus 2xh plus h squared. Okay. And then we FOIL again. So 8 times x squared, x times 2xh, x times h squared. Okay, so we're going to do things in that order. So x raised to the power 3 plus 2x squared h plus xh squared, xh squared. The next round, we're going to take the h, multiply x squared, okay? H multiply x squared. So we're going to get plus x times, x squared times h, okay? H times x squared, then h times 2xh. So that's going to be 2xh squared plus h to the power 3. And combine the like terms, we get x raised to the power 3 plus, and these are like terms. So it makes 3 times x squared times h. And these two are like terms. So we get 3 times x h squared. And finally, h to the power 3. Bring this back here. You can do the FOIL here if you want to, okay? I will just bring this whole thing over here. And then minus my x raised to power 3. Okay? And next, we're going to simplify the negative x raised to the power 3, take away the x raised to the power 3. All right? And then we're going to factor out the h. We can remove this plus sign. It's redundant. So we're going to factor out the h. So factor out the h. H is gone. One h is gone. And there's h squared. So take one of the h's out. And take one h out. So this is going to be h squared. So that way the h will be reduced. In the end, we're going to get what's left in the parentheses. And that's the end of it. We can remove the parentheses. That was all 12 questions. I'm hoping that, well, I'm asking you, please follow. If you think you need an algebra review, please follow these as many times as you need until you can do these questions independently by yourself. Okay? Thank you for watching.